Welcome. Welcome to the class. This is a master's degree level course about scientific research. Today, I aim to accomplish two things. First, I would like to talk about course requirements briefly. Then, I would like to talk about chapter 1. This session is being recorded and it will be available on your Microsoft Teams account. If you are unable to join today or any other webinar sessions, you can always watch the recorded video, post a summary, and get full credit for the requirement. The course textbook is shown on your screen. This is the cover page of the textbook. The very good quality material. If you are interested more about research, I would recommend you keep this book for future references. Very well written, and it's very difficult to find a good written research textbook. This is one of them. So in this class, we're going to have, it's going to be 100% online. There is no face-to-face sessions, even if you are on F1 visa. And the requirements, we will have 12 discussion assignments. So I divided the course into 6 modules, 6 plus 1 week. So every week, except the last week, we will have 2 discussion assignments due. We will have 6 module tests. Each module test will cover 2 chapters. And then we'll have 6 webinar sessions. This is the first one. And then we'll have a term paper project, which I'll explain more toward the end of the semester. So discussion assignments. First, you are going to respond to the prompt question I put. After you do that, you will read other people's responses and you will interact with them. When you interact, simply saying, I like your thinking, I agree with this, not gonna get you any credit. It has to be a meaningful discussion, a meaningful input to the conversation. So in each discussion assignment, you are required to have 3 postings to get full credit. You only respond to the prompt, you will get partial credit. You have to complete this before due date. This is crucial. This is the only kind of assignment, discussion assignment, that you can't make up for. Think of it as classroom attendance. When you go to class, you are present. If you miss the class, you miss. People don't go back and read the discussion assignments later. So I encourage you to start working on them on Wednesday, Thursday, and don't leave it to the last minute. Responses to the discussion assignments must be based on text. It's crucial. I've read a couple of responses for discussion 1, and I realized that they are not from text, and hence they are incorrect. They are not accurate. It's misinformation. So if your information is not from the textbook, there is high probability your response is contaminated. I don't encourage you to do so. Do not post information from internet. We have 0 use for that in this class. The textbook is very good. It's very useful, and it's more than enough. There's a lot of information in it, and the questions in discussion assignments are not like rocket science. Pretty easy, low level of usually Bloom's taxonomy. And make sure these are your own ideas. In the past, I've seen students copy pasting other students' response, putting it as their own. I don't want to embarrass anyone, but if something like this happens, I have no choice but take actions. So please don't do it. Your ideas, the language, don't use ChatGPT to, don't copy paste from ChatGPT, I should say. I have no problem using AI for learning process. It's a great tool. But when you email me, please don't copy paste from ChatGPT. It's like I'm talking to a robot. It's obvious. It doesn't give you, your real message. Your real message gets lost in those words. Post your own ideas. Refrain from fancy language is not required. I encourage you to use correct grammar. It's very important, obviously, for education. But for the purpose of grading, I don't punish for grammatical mistakes. I don't punish because students didn't use any kind of fancy word. For me, for grading purposes, idea matters. So the way I will be grading the discussion assignments is everyone is graded out of 50. And if you didn't interact with anybody and your response is very good, you get it. If you interacted with only one person, so basically you have 2 postings, maximum you could get is 40. And if you interacted twice, you'll get a 50. So these numbers are just to give you an idea. It's the range. Again, for discussion assignments, late work will not be accepted. Module test. We will have 6 module tests. For each test, you will have 2 attempts. And the test dates, test starts on Saturday morning, night after 12 a.m. Saturday, until Monday mid. We have Saturday, Sunday, and whole Monday to complete them. 6 module tests every week. We'll have one. If you miss 1, 2, or 3 of them, okay, you don't have to email me. We have designated makeup dates, March 4th and 5th. Anyone who missed these tests can come back and take them. For each test, you will have 2 opportunities. Okay? You take it once, you like your grade, you keep it. You want to take it again, you take it again, you get something higher score. You get something lower, first count, first take, higher score. So it works for your advantage. And we'll have 6 of these webinar sessions, 30 to 60 minutes long. And joining live to these sessions is not required. If you join live, you're done with the requirement. You don't have to do anything. You will get credit for webinar assignment. If you missed it, you don't have to email me. There is no purpose for that. We have students all over the world. It's impossible to work out everybody's schedule. So the videos recordings are posted on your Teams account. Okay? If you go to your Teams account, find this meeting under it, you'll be able to see the chat and you'll be able to see video recording. You can watch it and then take notes and then submit a summary. You get full credit. So I was going to say one more thing on this. We have 6 sessions. These are the dates. And in those sessions, I plan to finish 2 chapters approximately. So the way I'm going to talk about the chapters, I'm not going to cover everything. I will try to focus on the major stuff, things that need explanation. There's a lot of that. And it will be very productive if after I explain the webinar, if you go back to your textbook and review your material, the course will have a meaningful contribution to your professional life. I guarantee you that. And then finally, we'll have a term paper. More on this will make sense toward the end of the semester. Now, the syllabus, obviously, you can download it from Canvas website. Okay. Once you go to Canvas website, if you click on the syllabus, you will see the PDF file. Textbook information is there. Everything I explained in more details is in the syllabus. If you still have any questions, obviously, always you can email me. I'll be happy to help you. Right. Are there any questions so far?
Where can we get the book from?
You can get from textbook anywhere you want. I'm using an online version from vitalsource.com. For me, it's free because I'm an instructor. You can get it from anywhere you like. And there are different places to offer it online. Check the price, whichever you like, you can use that. If you want to share with someone and you can manage the logistics, that would be a good idea. Complete the course.
May I ask you about the first post? There is Wednesday. For the first post, which day we need to post it?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand. Can you repeat that, please?
Today, I said today is Wednesday. And then for the first post, when we need to post it at least.
Can you type up your question in the chat box and I'll try to answer it? Okay. I'll come back and read your question in the chat box and try to answer it. For the sake of time, I would like to continue. So, first chapter is introduction, obviously. This course is about research methodology. Some of you have taken a course in learning human development, learning and developmental theory. So normally research consists of 4 different legs. Number 1, you must have strong theoretical framework. There must be a theory. There must be an explanation. And then you must have statistical tools to analyze data, to make a meaning out of the collective. And number 3, you have to have a methodology. How are you going to design your study? How many participants do you need? Is it going to be quantitative or qualitative? Is it going to be experimental or quasi-experimental or correlational study? What kind of variables? All of these are object of experimental research design, this course. So in chapter 1, we focus on knowledge. Knowledge is the second branch of philosophy. Philosophy, mother of all sciences, is where we begin with, has 3 branches. The second branch is focuses on epistemology. Epistemology tells us how we get to know what we know, how we know information. We all know our names. How do we know it? Intuition. I mean, tenacity. Our parents called us something, and we know it, and we're 100% sure this is our name. So whether you know or you don't know, it's a huge thing about knowledge. Not information, but knowledge. That's the word we want to focus on. So from philosophical perspective, there are different methods of knowing something. First method being method of tenacity. Method of tenacity is you know something because your parents told you, because like your name, because everybody's repeating it, and it's common knowledge. Everybody knows it. Method of tenacity. Method of intuition. It comes from your common sense. You intuitively, you use your logic, then you know. So intuitively, people thought in the past, for example, if a student learns Latin language in an English-speaking country, their IQ will increase, which turns out to be false. Intuitively, if we build our knowledge intuitively, foundations of that knowledge will be shaky. So not every knowledge formed by intuition is. Method of authority, another way of learning, which is you submit yourself to an authority, and you go as they say. So, like your doctor, God forbid you get sick, you go and see a doctor, and your doctor tells you, prescribes you something, and you take it. You don't have to have the knowledge of the doctor. Just submit yourself to the doctor. You may ask for a second opinion, but nevertheless, still is. Or religion. You believe in God. You are a Christian. You are a Muslim. You are another person of another faith. You believe certain things because you believe they are in the Bible, or they are in the Quran, or they are in some sacred textbook, sacred books, and you go with it. That's method of authority. And then rational method. Rationality. We use our, we use our observation. I'm sorry, we use our knowledge, and we go with it. We have, so the rational method. I want to speak. I have one slide on rational methodology. You want to use your logical reasoning to find access knowledge. For example, all 3-year-old children are afraid of. Amy is a 3-year-old girl. Therefore, Amy is afraid of the dark. We just use our logic. Now the problem with rational method is that you rely on premises. Make some assumptions. You assume your premises are accurate. You assume this statement over here is accurate. If it is, then the remaining ones. But as you will see, sometimes our premise, we think it's accurate, but it turns out to be not. So that's a limitation for rational method. Another method of knowing is empirical. Empirical methodology means we go out and we observe. We collect data. We go by our observations. Sounds reasonable. Sounds a good way of getting out, and it is. It is useful, but it's not. It has its own faults. How? Because you rely on your observations. If you look at this figure, there are two lines perpendicular to each other. Our observations will tell us, most people will think that this line 1, is taller than line 2. In reality, they are perfectly equal. So the problem with empirical method is, the difference between empirical method and the next method we are going to talk about is the observer is in the center. Human is in the center. Whenever you put human in the center, analysis, your conclusions are subject to failure. So even though it's a good method, we use it to survive. We use it in our lives a lot. It's not perfect. So far we talked about these 5 methods. Tenacity is learn from habits. Superstition is good. It helps us survive. It's very useful. Intuition is hunch or feeling. You want to buy product A or product B. Search it up. You read the reviews, check the price, then you go with something. That's intuition. You want to know, you see a movie. Which movie should I see? Movie A or B? Go with your intuition. You are inclined to do something or another. The method of authority is, you submit yourself to, in this class, a teacher is authority. Listen to me. You assume I know what I'm talking about. And in a way, you are vulnerable. When we read a book, we assume the book is accurate. And, a lot of times we submit ourselves to author. When you need legal advice, you hire a lawyer, and you go as they say. You look at your options, and then you go with that. When you get sick, you see a doctor. When you go to a church, you go to a mosque, you go to a religious place, you submit yourself to authority. Rationalism and empiricism are, seemingly closer to scientific methodology, but nevertheless, they have their own. So another method of acquiring knowledge is scientific method. And this is method that we are interested in. Now, all other methods are very useful. We use it on. We can't make our decision whether we should see movie A or B based on scientific method. It would be ridiculous. If outside is raining, you want to take an umbrella. Why? You use your common sense. You don't need an experiment. So in real life, a lot of times we know stuff based on the other methods of acquiring knowledge, and there is nothing wrong with that. But when it comes to building knowledge, scientific knowledge, we use scientific method. What makes scientific method different from others? It's systematic, and it has a feature that no other ones have. So in this approach, we formulate specific question, we will call it hypothesis, and then we systematically what we are looking for, systematically. Okay? In the other methods, you meet with somebody and you from country X, you meet with another person from country X, another person, 3 people, and then you draw a conclusion. It's not systematic. And it combines several different methods of acquiring knowledge. So the scientific method, this is something that you've been exposed to since probably elementary school, middle school, elementary school, middle school. You observe a phenomenon, we'll call this variable later on, or construct or concept more accurately, and they will form a tentative answer. We have a question, and then we'll have a tentative answer. We'll have an explanation that is called hypothesis, and then we will test our hypothesis. We'll evaluate our hypothesis systematically in a planned way. And then we will use the observations to support or refute or refine the original hypothesis. Something that science doesn't do, we don't prove things. Proving things is in math. In science, in scientific methodology, we provide evidence, provide support to some ideas. And we talk with level of significance. We talk with a confidence level, how confident we are. And we never say 100%. Don't say this is proven. Scientists have proved that. No, scientists provide evidence for a statement or a solution or an idea. So there is inductive and deductive reasoning being used. Induction is when you have small set of observations. You see a person, and you see you make one observation, and then you make another, and then you make another, and from here you draw a generalization. That is induction. Deduction is you have a general statement, and then you draw specific statements from your general statement. Example. So you eat one green apple, it's sour. You eat another green apple, sour. You eat a third green apple, it's sour. Say, all green apples are sour. Deduction is it's the opposite. You have the statement all green apples are sour. So if you come across one green apple, and you will assume that it's also sour. It's induction and deduction. Now, having said that, now we can slowly dig into the concept of variable and hypothesis. Research, science exists because of variables. If there is no scientific research exists because of variance. And variables are used to measure the variance. If you want to know whether a certain method is superior to another method, and you conduct an experiment, you assign people to two groups. If everybody scores the same, there is no variance. Nothing varies. If nothing varies, there is no change. Then, I mean, you're stuck. There is nothing you can do. So we work with variables. There are all different kinds of variables. The variable is characteristic or condition. Change, varies. Or take different values for different events. Temperature, weather temperature. 30 degrees, 40 degrees, 50 degrees, it changes. Health status. Somebody is healthy or not healthy. Age, number, gender. Make it easy, think about two variables. Gender versus age. Gender, take two values, male and female. Well, these days. Normally, traditionally, male and female. Age is a number, continuous. Here, this is a categorical variable. We learned about this in statistics, and we will learn more about this here in this course. Gender, can you add gender? You have 5 men and women. Can you add them up? No. But age, you can. Salary, person's math score, continuous. So not all variables are the same. Hypothesis is a statement in an affirmative form, and it describes or it explains the relation between or among variables. That's what a hypothesis is. There is a research question. An hypothesis is the statement that answers the tentative answer to the research question. It's your best guess. So in order for you to form your hypothesis, you must be knowledgeable. You must know your stuff. You must know what people before you have done. And then you say, okay, this is my best, and this is my hypothesis. My hypothesis can be supported or refuted. Could be your research data could agree with your hypothesis, or it could disagree with it. A hypothesis can lead to several different observable and measurable predictions. A good research question is the one that opens up to a good research methodology. Now, let's say you have an hypothesis. In your textbook, there is a research going on about whether swearing reduces the experience of pain. You have an hypothesis, and then you make a prediction. Participants should be less responsive to pain when swearing than when not swearing. And another prediction could be participants should have an increased tolerance for pain when swearing than not. So the scientific principle, scientific methodology is empirical. This class, when we talk about, we're going to talk about data, about empirical data. We're going to talk about observations, which is data. We will talk about a person's anxiety. We will quantify. We will transform it to a numerical value, and then we'll work with it. The scientific information is published, and is open to everyone, and it's objective. The most crucial thing about scientific methodology is, unlike the method we discuss here, unlike empiricism, it makes empiricism different from scientific research. In empiricism, as I mentioned, human is in the center. Observations made by a person In scientific research, take out this element. It's objective. So there is a research problem. We collect data, we analyze data, and data speaks, not the researcher. And this comes from American school of thought, pragmatism. And that is Charles Peirce Sanders and William James, collectively. Harvard University. These two American philosophers, they developed this philosophical school of thought, pragmatism. And basically, what it is whatever works. Truth is whatever works. You have an idea. You could say that this idea is true as long as data supports it. But if next day data doesn't support it, it's not like supporting it. You change your idea and you go with new information. Pragmatism. It's objective and it's systematic. It has the feature called self-correctiveness. If a researcher conducts a study and he or she makes a mistake, knowingly or unknowingly would be unethical, sometimes unlawful, federal money is being used, and the researcher may end up in prison. Doesn't happen often, but it does happen in the US. So if a researcher knowingly or unknowingly makes a mistake, when you try to replicate the study, the replication will correct it. So that's why replication is key to scientific method. We try to get rid of bias. One thing pragmatism does is the fact that human mind is biased. Can't rely on our observations. We can't rely on our common sense. In the old days, people thought that corporal punishment, physically punishing a child, is an effective way of discipline. Turns out it's not. No research will support it. We use our common sense in the past, and we said if a student is behind in third grade, if they are behind too much, we can retain them. We can ask them to repeat the third grade. Thought that was a good idea. Our common sense said it's a good idea. They didn't learn this year, they can learn next. No research supports that idea. So human thinking is faulty. In research, when you take the human out of the equation, then it becomes powerful. So the scientific inquiry is a process, a messy process. It's ever changing. Truth changes all the time. You make observations, you have a research question, and then you have a temporary solution to your problem. You gather data, and then you make predictions, and you keep on observation, and they take you to another place, and then they take you to another. So this is how science develops. This is how knowledge. We build knowledge. We acquire knowledge. Now there is something called pseudoscience. Pseudoscience is when you see these famous people on YouTube or other social media platforms, or even on TV channels. So many people, they may have a degree, PhD degree, in their field, and they may, but this is not science. That is not science. That's pseudoscience. Pseudoscience and science is different. Scientific research, evidence is gathered from careful, systematic, and objective observation. Pseudoscience, lacks key components of essential science. They go out, they make observations, and they intelligent design. I don't want to name any names, but I'm sure some of you can think of so many people from US, from Canada, you know, self-claimed. They help you self-develop individuals. That is not science. It may make you feel good about yourself. It may help you, not. But it's not science. Science is different. So there are two kinds. In roughly, you can divide scientific methodology: quantitative research and qualitative. So some of you in your discussion assignment said that qualitative research is um, studying people's feelings. That is not the case. What makes qualitative research different from quantitative research is quantitative research is data-based, numbers, statistical analysis. And qualitative research is observations and interviews, field notes. Which one is better? There is no such thing. They both are different tools. You use them for different purposes. Whenever you can, obviously quantitative research succeeds. Whenever you can. But there are some areas where quantifying your data, making statistical analysis is not the solution. It doesn't help. For example, when you study schizophrenia, people who have schizophrenia, or people with depression, for example, a qualitative research study would be spending time with that individual and asking questions, taking notes, making observations, and living the life of that individual. This way, you can reflect the condition of that person. That is qualitative. That's the end of chapter 1. Now, chapter 2, it's about research ideas and hypotheses. So obviously, we start with topic. Okay? How do we choose a topic? Well, that research doesn't happen in isolation. Research happens in the right environment. You don't go out and you say, what do I research? You're exposed to many theoretical frameworks, and you read, and they take you somewhere. So you can identify, but for the purpose of this class, in discussion assignments, use them to answer those questions in the coming weeks. You can find a topic that interests you. Now, I assume most of you are in education major. Not use your own major, and in education, the variables that we work with are obvious. Let's stack them up and see how many different things you can come up. So in education, obviously, we talk about school achievement. We talk about intelligence. Talk about math performance, make it specific. Talk about anxiety, test anxiety. We can talk about motivation. We can also talk about gender, culture, socioeconomic status. From more school administration perspective, we can talk about school finance. We can talk about advocacy, student advocacy, teacher advocacy. With those, we can create so many different research questions, and we can have our temporary tentative solutions. So think about those. If you're not in this field, think about the variables that interest you. And then you create a research question, and then you answer the research. Let's create one. Let's make one. Let's use math achievement, math performance. Let's use this. Test anxiety. Let's make this a little more specific. Test anxiety. Now I'm gonna research question. Does test anxiety? I will first write as most students write. Then I'll tell you why this. Does test anxiety cause math performance? Now I can answer this question with yes or no. The answer is yes. That's not a good way of writing this. Better way is to what extent? To what extent test anxiety cause math performance? That's better. Why? Because now I can talk on a spectrum. The answer to this is to some degree. And my job is to find out. Still, this hypothesis is not very good. Why? Because it's too generic. Are you talking about elementary school kids, middle school kids, high school kids, college kids? But we have to make it specific. So if I take this and at middle school, now we know there is a gender issue here. Boys and girls may react differently, different actual situations. There is at middle school, people hit puberty. From Piagetian perspective, there is a stage change. See, I used my knowledge from theory. Transition from childhood to adulthood. So that is something you have to consider. And finally, this is not a very good way of using this. For the last chapters, we'll discuss it. I'll state it here. When you say cause, you imply that something is causing it. Education, this is experimental. In order for you to make such a statement, you have to have a perfect conditions, experimental design. Rather, you could reframe this. To what extent is test anxiety related to math performance? Math performance at middle school level. And you can discuss gender later on in your study, even though I didn't put it in the research question. Well, I just showed you a rough way, very rough. So we start with variables, and then you never do research without theoretical. You must have theory behind it. You must be knowledgeable about it. And then you start. So once you have your research question, what you would like to do is you would like to do research. You wanna go and see published material, published articles online or hard copy. A lot of it is hard copy, and you want to make sure you review and you read those. and then you cross-reference ideas. When you do literature review, the most important thing is you start from general. I'm going to explain in your textbook. You start from general, you narrow it down. Here. So basically, you start general, then you narrow it down, and then you generalize. This is when you lay out your research process. You read, and then you focus in generic stuff, math performance, how it is, what kind of students are successful, and then anxiety, you in general. And then you narrow it down to elementary school, middle school. And then you focus on something even more specific. That is your research. That is your hypothesis. But then you don't want to be too specific. At the end, you want to be able to generalize your research. Power shape. So research doesn't happen in isolation. We have knowledge, we build on that. So historical studies, you read them, and then if you find something new, in a typical research article, you will see introduction section that we will talk about literature review, and then hypotheses or purpose of the study, and then specific predictions from the study, and then methodology, participants, how many people, how are they selected? Is it just a convenient sample? This person works for that school and is, using those students for the study, or is it more systematic way? We have options, and then you randomly choose, so on and so forth. What kind of procedures are being used? Then you collect your data, you analyze your data, and then you draw conclusions. Finally, I brought some actual research, some not usual ones. So here is a research problem. Do cooperative social situations lead to higher levels of intrinsic motivation? Yeah. Cooperative social situations is one variable. Now think about this variable. Is it a categorical variable or is it a numerical? Obviously, it's categorical. Cooperative situations, non-cooperative. A situation where a person works on his own, on her own, or work in cooperative with other group set. That's what it means. So it's a 1 and 0, dichotomous variable, categorical variable, like gender. Lead to higher levels of intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is when an individual is motivated in the absence of exterior. So you are self. You don't need your teacher to tell you, I'm going to give you X. You don't need your mom tell you, I'll give you ice cream if you eat your vegetables. So in the study, they define intrinsic motivation as relative amount of time, total amount, that each student in that specific study in 1988, each student played with the pattern blocks with the reward system absent. So it makes sense. They put kids in a classroom, and some of them worked individually, and some of them worked with others. And they, counted how many minutes they did, and they added it all up, and that is a number, quantitative number, and that's your interest, how you. And then this is tells you what happened when students were working together, when they are working individually. Another example is, do children of different ethnic groups, again, this is our one variable, ethnic groups, obviously categorical. 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 5 levels if it's in US, have different levels of test anxiety. So when you read the question, this is a research question, we have one variable here, another variable here, test anxiety. But test anxiety, you can easily measure it. There are surveys out there, instruments. And this is the fourth leg of the graphic. At the beginning, I said there are 4. One of them is theoretical frameworks, the statistical methodology, research methodology, and finally measurement. So measurement leg is in play. Have an instrument and a survey, and you use that survey to measure the person's anxiety. That is another actual research question from 2009. That will suffice for today's session. There was a question. Let's see if I can answer that. You don't need to type your name in the chat box. The system automatically saves it when you join and when you leave, automatically recorded.
I have question about the due date for the first week because we're still looking for the book. Can you just extend it just 1 week so until we all have the books, if that possible?
Now,
Just for the first week until we all have the books, because I order it, but it's they told me it's delayed because the weather, you know.
I hear you. Let me consider this. The reason why I'm hesitant is time flies very fast. Every week we have 2 assignments. So I'm a little bit reluctant. Let me push you as much as you can. And if you can't, then I'll try to extend it a few days. Not 1 whole week, but a few.
Okay, thank you so much.
Ma'am, if you're asking about textbook, if you go to chat section, one of the students sent a PDF file of the textbook already.
I already ordered it, but it's delay. You know, it just arrived delay because the weather.
There's a soft copy in the chat room. If you go to the chat room, there's a soft copy. So you can download that for yourself.
Dr. Aksoy, do you want us to cite a textbook as a reference in our discussion?
I want you to use textbook only. I don't need you to write it as a reference. No.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
I don't take off points for that, but it's not needed.
Okay. Thank you.
I have just. I'm sorry. This first time I Kavaf's program. So in discussion 1, when I need to reply the discussion, it's called like a minimum at least 3 comment or 3 replies. So that's mean I don't know how I do replies for other other one in same discussion, or I do mine 3 times.
So discussion 1
Yeah.
tells you about quantitative and qualitative.
Yes, I read.
Check
Yeah.
your book, then you use your own words and you write about it. That's 1. You post it, that's 1. And then
Yeah.
and then you read somebody else's discussion and you reply to that too. and then you read a second person's posting, and you reply to that. 3. So it's you answer the question, and you respond, interact with 2 students, not
Okay,
3
so
students.
I write the name for these 2 students that I read, or just I do the reply that for the student.
You
How
just
you know
reply.
that for? Yeah.
Oh, I know. You just hit the reply, and I see it.
Okay, thank you. Because I do mine, but I don't know how I can do for others.
Yes, doesn't show reply. Can you please show us, sir? Yes, I think this is the new system.
Doctor, this mine. So I can do mine, but I cannot see how I reply for others. Just it show me, like replies just as a first discussion. Did you
I
do my
hear you.
own, doctor?
I understand what you're saying. I will look
Thank
into
you.
this. My screen is different than yours, and I will look into this.
If you need, I can show you mine, because already I do my one, but I don't know how I did the other one. Okay, I can.
That's I'll take care of that. It's a very easy thing. Maybe there is a glitch behind. I'll get it fixed. It's easy.
Yeah, please. Thank you, because I know how I do the main one discussion, but how I replay for other, it's not showing for us. It's showing as a new discussion.
I understand. I'll fix
Okay,
it. It's an easy thing.
Oh, thank you.
Right.
I'm sorry, doctor. Just other question. I came late little bit because I will driving. I got out from my job. It's like around 45. So I need to arrive like 30 minutes. So I'm late, just 15 minutes. Did you talk about
No
the
problem.
other? Thank you. Did you talk about the other assignment, or just we have to assignment, the discussion and the quizzes, like every time? And
So
do you have another assignment?
yes, you can watch the video in detail. That will be better. It will be more comprehensive.
Okay, thank you.
Once
So
the
you
meeting
talked
is
already
over.
about that.
Yeah, I talked about the
Okay,
assignments. Yes.
thank you. I appreciate
And if you have
it.
any questions, you can always email me. I'll be happy to.
Yeah, I know that you reply direct because I talked before that one courses with you. I know. I appreciated that. Thank you, doctor.
Another webinar going on at the same time, but I believe the instructor said only today his course webinar is Wednesday, only today. And even if it
Okay.
is, there's nothing I can do. I mean, there are so many classes, and joining live session is nothing. Watch the video, write a summary.
Okay. Thank you.
Don't see any other questions. Right. Thank you very much for joining.
One more
There is.
question.
Go ahead.
Is there a requirement on words? How many words do we have to write about discussion?
We will use our common sense. If you feel like you answered the question thoroughly, you are good enough.
Okay, fine.
Actually,
Thank
on
you.
average, or you'll get used to it from my grading. On average, a mid-sized paragraph is good enough. I don't need you to write me one page for a discussion assignment,
Thank you.
unless you want. Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much for joining me. And I hope you will enjoy the course. I'll see you same time next week.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.